How to hold team members accountable. It's said that in the absence of information, the mind just makes things up. And right now, your team's probably making things up. You can't just hire and fire your way to accountability. It's something that you actually have to cultivate and build. By the end of this video, you're going to know some specific conversations and tools that will help cultivate that accountability. Well, he avoided the hard conversation for months and months and months and months. And you know how it worked. It just built up and was swept under the rug. And eventually the rug started to mound up. And the reason I know this is because it was me. And so about 6 months ago, I had let a conversation build up over time. And eventually, guess what it did? It blew up. Not because I was being mean, not because the other person was being mean. It's because I was accepting passivity. I was moving away instead of moving towards hard conversation. So I want to tell you this out at the beginning of this. And I actually took this from another group that I'm a part of, and they say this all the time, and that is this. In order for us to grow in maturity, we must reject passivity and instead move towards, be responsible for, and depend on. So let me reiterate it this way. If you want to learn how to hold team members accountable, then you're going to have to shift a mindset to rejecting passivity, not stepping away from a thing, but moving in towards tough situations. I want you to look at it like this. One of my goals for this year is I want to be a well-differentiated, self-regulated, non-anxious presence. God, where did I get that from? Well, it's an amalgamation of different people. A guy named Steve Cuss, Ed Friedman, Murray Bowen, they have all kind of talk about this thing. It actually came from Murray Bowen's family systems theory, this idea that when you talk to me, you're not just talking to me. You're talking to all the people in my background, my parents, my uncles, my generations, all of that, because all of that shaped me. And when I talk to you, I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to you, I'm talking to all the people in your background because they have shaped you. And with that, when we walk into a situation, I want you to think of it like the cartoon character's Pigpen. Remember Pigpen would walk around and he just had dirt and dust flying all around him. He was filthy. Well, a lot of times that's either how we can walk into a situation as owners, or it's how other people can walk in. In order for us to be a well-differentiated, self-regulated, non-anxious presence, then what we do is we come into proximity with Pigpen, but we don't enter the dust cloud with Pigpen. And we're learning to separate ourselves from that, realize that is not my fault, but there may be a piece of it that might be my responsibility from an accountability standpoint. And so instead of rejecting that, moving away from it in passivity, I'm going to move towards it. All right? I know I'm not giving you a lot of actual tactical tools, but talking more about mindset. But before we dive into the tool, that is incredibly important information to understand. When you see chaos brewing, emerging, you need to make a decision to be well differentiated. It's not that you're going to go away from it. It's that you're going to be well differentiated from it so that you don't jump into it and their anxiety becomes your anxiety. And so when it comes to accountable leadership, that's one of the first principles that I think will be incredibly helpful for you. Self-regulate. You don't become an anxious presence with them. You stay well differentiated so you can make wise decisions outside of that. All right, so let's walk in this idea of accountability. This is a tender subject. Now, we can't talk about accountability without also talking about micromanagement, because a lot of times people confuse proper accountability, or what I call healthy leadership, with micromanagement. So I want to give you a metaphor that I think will be helpful, and we call it the seesaw of predictability. And here's what I mean by that. As a healthy leader, you want to be a predictable leader to some degree. Not always, but most of the time, especially when it relates to micromanagement, if you can help it. So here's how it works. So imagine a seesaw, and you've got a fulcrum. And on this side of the seesaw, you have a big question mark that equals the right question. That's what that means. On this side, you have a clock, and it equals the right time. So we want to ask the right question at the right time. If we do those two things, then we're practicing healthy leadership. But it doesn't mean that people aren't going to be uncomfortable, because sometimes we ask the right question, hey, can you report back to me on last week's sales numbers at the right time during a sales meeting? It'll still make somebody uncomfortable. That is not micromanagement. That is healthy leadership. Where we get into micromanagement is when we go out of balance on the fulcrum and we create unpredictability. How do we do that? It's when we ask the wrong question at the right time, or we ask the right question at the wrong time. So let me give you an example. So you come into an operations meeting and you say, hey, where are the set of plans from the house we built 8 years ago? You're like, well, it's the wrong question, but you did it at the right time. You did it in an operations meeting. You should be asking for plans then. But a right question at the wrong time is, where are the set of plans for the house we built last month? It's a right question, but you texted one of your team members at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night. Wrong time, because that's not when you're supposed to meet. And so if you get any one of those out of balance, what it does is foster a culture and the rich soil for micromanagement. It's not a soil you want to be able to do that. Instead, what we want to cultivate is a soil of accountability. So what are the nutrients, what are the dirt components that make up that soil of accountability so you can move towards accountability, be a well-differentiated, non-anxious, self-regulated presence for your team? There's a couple things that I'm going to give you. First, I need to give you some context. So in running a business, it's really, really important that you know how business operates because that's where accountability sits in. First, and I'm going to categorize these three ways. Number one, every business has an operating system. Now, when I say that, some businesses' operating systems have nothing in them, right? So there's a system, but when you hit the power button of the business, you just get a blank screen because everything's locked away in the owner's head. We call that a captive operating system, meaning it is captive within the bars of the owner's head at that point. What we want to be able to do is power up the screen of our business and something actually comes on the screen like something comes on your computer. Now you can be productive with that thing. So the operating system for every business is built this way. It's 4 foundational cornerstones. Purpose, that's the direction of the business. Vision, mission, values, culture, handbook. People, that tells our team how we operate and who we operate with. Org charts, job roles, hiring process, delegation maps, etc. Then we have the process vertical of the operating system. That tells us all the tens and hundreds of processes that it takes to fulfill the product that we're offering. And then the administrative vertical. That's the accounting and the HR and all the administrative stuff to hold it all together. So that's your operating system. If you don't have any of that documented, it's akin to you having an operating system on the computer with nothing in it, you power it up and it's a blank screen. But if you have every one of those 28, 29, 30 tools documented in those 4 categories, then you have an operating system where the screen can run with or without you. Listen, I've got a Mac. Steve Jobs isn't sitting right next to me. He's not even here on this earth anymore. He doesn't run my computer for me. He built an operating system that runs it, and you need an operating system so your business can run and grow with or without you. Second element of a business is what we call a master process roadmap. So if you go in the third vertical of our operating system, process, and click on the little tool below, because these are the tools that run the business called master process roadmap, then it's going to open up a spreadsheet. And in the spreadsheet is what we call our process roadmap, broken in 4 core systems. So the operating system is the 4 foundational cornerstones. Your process roadmap is 4 core: marketing, sales, ops, and admin. Each of your team members needs to have a job role laid out with the task that they're responsible for within those 4 core systems: marketing, sales, ops, and admin. And then with that, we need to develop a role scorecard so that that particular person knows when to deploy the task in that job role daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, and annually. All right, so we know what to do. We know how to do it. We even know who's going to do it because we've got an org chart if we're doing this correctly. And so we know the team, we know the individual players on the team, and we know what those players are responsible for and being held accountable to because it's on their scorecard. So if we want to hold team members accountable, we got to know all those things before we ever get to the accountability part. So now let's talk about the interaction and the conversation around accountability. Ready? This is where we're going to reject passivity and move towards. Twice monthly, I want you to have a one-on-one check-in. Now, let's go back to the operating system. If you go to the second vertical, people, and you go down the line on the tools to run the business, you're going to see 5 other blocks down there called the Big 5 feedback loop. These are the Big 5 meetings that we look for in every business that we work with. Number 1, once weekly agenda-driven leader-led team meeting. Number 2, a once weekly departmental meeting, marketing and sales, operations, accounting, administration, right? They need to be meeting every week and going a round table around stuff, but it's never more than 1 hour. In fact, if you click on the link in the description below, I've got a whole nother video about how to run a team meeting. Make sure you click on that and you can go watch that to see how team meeting operates. The other things that we're looking for in the Big 5 is we're looking for a twice monthly executive meeting. It's the high level executives of any business, even if you only have 3 employees, could just be one person meeting with themselves. We call it an incredibly schizophrenic meeting. And then there's 2 other of the Big 5. Once annual performance review, and then the one I want to talk about accountability, and that is the one-on-one check-in. You ought to be having 2 one-on-one check-ins every single month with your direct reports. Notice, I did not say with everybody in the business. I said with your direct reports, and if your direct reports are everybody in the business, then you got a whole nother issue you got to work through, and that is to start to delegate. That's another tool in our people vertical, the delegation map, so you can delegate to other people so that they can have direct reports as well, okay? So we're in that one-on-one check-in. We've got the role scorecard. We've got the person in front of us. We're going to sit down and have a 20-minute conversation. We're going to start that conversation with a 30-second big win. Hey, give me a big win over the last couple of weeks, personal or professional, it doesn't matter. Should take 30 seconds, and then you share one. Then we're going to move into the role scorecard. Hey, let's look at your scorecard. Where do you feel like you crushed it? Where do you feel like you maybe kind of didn't live up to standards this past couple of weeks? And what do you need help on? Great, 5-8 minutes. And then you're going to spend the rest of the time asking these questions. You ready? Hey, what are you seeing and thinking right now? Just general, like of me, of the business, of the market, customers, whatever. What are you seeing right now? Number 2, what blind spots do we have, or what blind spots do I have? Very vulnerable. Number 3, what do you need from me right now? And number 4, it's not a question, it's actually a statement. Here's what I see, and here's what I need from you. It's your opportunity to give feedback. Remember, we're moving towards, we're not moving away from this. And so the accountability, if there's a hard conversation you have, boom, that's the time to have it. Reject passivity, move towards. You can leverage the org chart, the job role, the scorecard, and your one-on-one meeting, and do that with repetition, predictability, and meaning, and you will begin to develop a culture of accountability and have real accountability around implementation. I think it was Thomas Edison. He said, vision without implementation is just hallucination. It's kind of like this video. I do this video and you don't implement, you're just hallucinating. You might as well have just done something else during this time. But I want to position you to hold your team accountable. There's another video that I'm going to link in the description below. And in that video, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to that video. It is a masterclass of me talking about how to run a construction company. Now, even if you own another company from another industry, you're going to get loads of value out of it. So it's really industry agnostic, but 92% of our clients are in the contractor construction space. And so it's how to run a construction company. It is a long video. You need to get a snack, go to the bathroom, and take notes, because we're going to walk through, just you and I, how to run a construction company front to back so you can see it from that high level to see how delegation, accountability all fits in. So make sure you go check that out. Why are we doing all this? For one reason. I want to liberate you from the chaos you feel so that you can make time for the things that matter most.